Hi everyone, welcome to the Merchant of Magic. Today I'm joined with Michael Fairall, or his stage name is Magic Mikey. Very, very popular children's entertainer in the UK. And we're going to talk about his career, some tips and advice for performing magic for children, and maybe different ways to make your magic a little bit more unique, and also some of the projects that Mike has on the go. So with that, hi Mike.
Hi Dom, how you doing?
Yeah, really good, really good. So thanks ever so much for coming on and agreeing to do this little interview. So obviously a lot of magicians here, for working magicians, especially for children's entertainers, already know you, but there's bound to be some people that don't. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, I'm Magic Mikey. I'm a professional children's entertainer. I like to think that the product that I offer is of the highest quality that I can possibly do. So therefore, I think I've obviously done something right, because I do several hundred shows a year, and I'm continuously working to make the shows better and better and better. But more so, I'm trying to have an in-depth understanding as to how the people that book me think. I think that's really important. The people that book you are the people who book you. So I work very, very hard to try and get into the minds of the bookers.
So how long have you been performing now for?
Oh, goodness me. I started in 1992. So, do you know, so over 20 years. Way over 20 years. So I've been going a long, long time.
And have you noticed that your act has changed much over that 20-year span?
Yeah, massively. Well, it has changed, because 20 years, I mean, in the early 90s, it's a very different world now. In the middle of the 2000 and sort of getting on for, what's that, 15. So yes, everything has changed. But I've always loved magic, so I've always tried to do magic that is, proper sort of skilled magic. And then add a sort of a slant of sort of comedy and humour to it. But a lot of people that watch my show will say that it's not all magic. There's so much to it. There's a character there. There's humour to it. There's magic tricks. But what I won't say is, and now my next trick is, So the magic kind of just happens. It happens to a fool, and that's the way I look at it. I kind of loosely base my character on two different characters. One of them is Drop Dead Fred, who is played by Rick Mail, who's a comedy genius. And if you don't know, Drop Dead Fred is an imaginary character. And because he's imaginary, of course, he can do just about anything. So that's how I'm able to put magic into the character that I portray, because I'm Magic Mikey. I can do everything. And the other one is Oliver Hardy. Now, Oliver Hardy obviously was an incredibly successful visual comedian, but like any successful visual comedian, they're complete and utter idiots. So if you look at Oliver Hardy, you could look at Dick Dastardly. Dick Dastardly, of course, is in charge of his crew, but of course he's the biggest idiot of them all, and it follows suit. So Oliver Hardy is in charge of the two, he's in charge of Stan, and it's his direction that always gets him into trouble. So and Oliver Hardy was quite posh as well. He had morals, didn't he, Oliver Hardy? And he cared about things. And I think if you have morals and you care about things and things go wrong, it's even funnier, So the magic is obviously paramount to what I do. I am a magician to entertain the children, but along the way, things go a little bit awry, which is why it feels refreshing, the show, when I do it every day pretty much. So I must be doing something right there.
Well, we've got a clip actually of just a short couple of minutes clip of you in action. So why don't I play that, and we can see sort of the style and things like that from your presentation.
Go for it.
Did you hear that?
you want a big one or a little one? What do you want? Whoa, that's a really good one. Look at that. Oh, hang on a minute. This is rubbish from Tesco's. Here we go. What is the Tesco's exactly? Who would know that in Pimlico? No, shh. What is this Tesco's? Strange. Well, have you heard of Waitrose? Just about heard of the Waitrose. Very good. Two smart fellas.
Two fox melons.
No, what's going on? Sit down, you. Two smart smellers. You got me doing it now. It's the magic Red Bull of Japan. That's what it is. Look. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yes, excellent. Look at this. Look, put that one there. Watch. 1, 2, 3, 4.
No.
Look! Look at this, look! 1, ichi, ni, san, chi. Whoa! Can you see those? Oh, look. I'm going, they're just in the air. Look, 2 there. Look! Whoa! Whoa! Thank you very much, everyone. Can you see? Shall I let go? Shall I? Whoa! I'm not sure that's a good idea. I don't know what it's going to do. Shall I let go? Sure? Now look into my eye. Into my eye. Into my other eye. You're feeling sleepy, very sleepy. Sleepy. 3, 2, 1, Rocky. Sleep. He's asleep.
That's excellent. And one of the things I notice as well is you're very animated. So you're it isn't just the magic there. You're pulling faces and there's a lot of energy there, and you're having a kind of a joke almost on their level.
Children love expressions, and there's lots of faces that you can pull in a children's show. Despair, sort of horror, frustration, anger. You can be happy if you've had one over on them, So yes, absolutely. The ping pong poodle routine, which I hope we're going to talk about later, is packed full of sort of funny faces, and they cover all range of emotions. One thing I'd like to talk about when you say about pulling a face, a lot of entertainers will get a balloon and they'll pull it and they'll let it snap back on their finger. Okay, and of course it's very funny for the kids. You've got this modelling balloon and bang, snap back on your finger, and you kind of, oh my goodness, that really hurts. Well, I sat down one day and I thought about the whole concept, because that's a very, very funny thing for kids. And I worked out that okay, it can snap back on your finger, but wouldn't it be funny if it snapped back on your nose? Because a nose is in essence funny. It's comedy, a nose. So I managed to get a thing where you get the balloon, you pull it, and you can really pull it. And I turn sideways so you can see, and it snaps back, but it actually just hits my my hands like this, and then unlike a thumb, you can actually recoil like this, and then like any sort of big pain, there's a wave of pain, and then it subsides, like if you bang your elbow. So it hits your nose, and the kids are screaming with laughter, and you can really milk that laughter, because if it comes back on your nose, then you stop the show, and then you can literally, you can let out a massive like that, you see, with your nose. And then, of course, you can poke it like Oliver Hardy would. If Oliver Hardy hurt his nose, he would let that pain subside, and then he'd go, go and poke it again, and have like a stupid thing to do. If you hurt yourself, go and poke it again. So you get another. So you can get the kids laugh, really laugh, and then really laugh again, all with just something as simple as and cost-free as something as simple as that. And if you do that at the top of a show, you've instantly got the children's attention.
Another thing I noticed as well is you're introducing some proper sleight of hand and some real magic into the show along with the comedy. Is that something that developed by accident, or was that a conscious decision on your part?
Well, sort of. I have a loose mentor, which is a gentleman by the name of Duncan Trillo. Duncan heads up the Magic Week website. And I met Duncan years ago when I was working in Corfu, and that was in 1992. And of course, he's a sleight of hand magician, and he makes cards appear. And when I saw his act, it enthralled me. I loved it. And I wanted, if I'm going to be a magician, whether it's for adults or for children or for whatever, I want to put some of that proper magic into a show. So yes, I do multiplying billiard balls. I do cards that appear in the air, and I flick them through the air, and they land in a hat, and so there's a lot of magic in there, which is recognised as sort of standard technical magic. But what I found is that any of the adults who are watching, and there could be as many adults in a room full of children as there is children, that will get their attention. And when you've got the adults' attention, you're going to have a 100% better show, because they're not going to chatter and talk all the way through your show, and they're going to appreciate the magic as much as, almost, or if not as much as the child. I've got a lot of dads that are fans, and it's because I do some pretty cool magic, and they appreciate the frustration that Magic Mikey has with the children during the show. So it works on two levels, and that's the golden rule. Get your show to work on that two level thing, but you don't want to come across as smarmy, or you don't want to come across as he's a kids entertainer, but obviously he'd really like to be an adult entertainer, for grown-ups. So and getting that balance just right delivers you an enormous amount of respect from the people that are going to book you.
And so, do you think that you always have to do that? Is it important to have some sleight of hand, or have some technique in there, or can you still adapt that even with just self-working tricks, and maybe build the presentation to compensate for that? There's some people that don't want to go the sleight of hand route, or the traditional magic route. They want to maybe focus more on the presentation and the comedy.
No, well, you don't have to be too serious. Is not in the picture. You can't be serious about it. Any magic trick you can turn into into a humorous way if you execute the trick properly. And if you've chosen the trick to execute properly, then that makes a whole different thing. No, I don't think you do. What I don't want to do is go down to a magic shop and buy a selection of children's magicians' magic. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And believe me, I have used just about every product that's on the market at the moment, and for the last 20 odd years. But what sits comfortably with me is pushing myself. I knew I was in this for the long game. So when I started to do card manipulations, and that's all done to music as well. We'll come to music if we can in a children's magic show. But I knew I had plenty of time to get some proper magic down, you know. And you know, if you dropped one of your multiplying billiard balls, it's not great, but it's not the end of the world. In fact, no one really cares. I care now if anything goes wrong, but in those days when I'm just learning it, if you can find an audience that will forgive you if there's a mistake, God forbid you actually make a mistake, but if you find an audience that will forgive you for a mistake, then you've got that golden opportunity just to keep going and going and going and going until you've got it absolutely perfect. So there's no reason if you are a magician, okay, and you're not children, if you want to be a magician who entertains children, you can, and you do have the opportunity to get it just right, you know. So yes, I think anybody should push themselves, do the tricks they want to do, and make it work.
And would you say that your act is set now and you do everything? It seems to be that there's a lot of spontaneous parts in your act, but I wonder whether they are in fact spontaneous or whether they're actually heavily rehearsed and perfected.
Completely and utterly heavy. The whole act is pretty much word for word. I do deviate. If I've got a great new trick I want to put in, I have to sit down literally with a pen and a paper and work out what I'm going to take out in order to make way for this new trick. And I do try and do that. I think it's refreshing for everyone if you can just keep a sort of one out, one in sort of conveyor thing going along. But Magic Mikey is he's more like a big brother rather than an uncle. And I'm the best magician in the world because that's my demeanour. You know, hey kids, look, watch this, right? So they know they're in for a magician showing the magic, but when it starts to go wrong, it's all the more funny. But yeah, pretty much, I have a set routine, and I have worked to that, and I changed a few things once, and I started to get complaints. Where was the such and such, and what happened to the thing you did before, you know? So, and also kids don't mind. They'll watch it again and again and again and again, and that's something that's really handy to remind parents, even if you don't need to. I say to parents, look, you know, kids are not like, they're not like humans, you know, but no, kids are not like adults. They don't mind watching the same thing again, especially if it's a year later or if it's 6 months later. And don't worry that I was at Tommy's party 3 months ago. The children will probably enjoy it all the more. Unlike us, we'd watch a great film like The Shawshank Redemption, love it, and almost be sorry you've seen it because you won't be able to see it again. But children won't. It'll grow and grow and grow and grow. Format, but I like ad-libbing. I'm lucky to have that ad-lib line come into my mind. I can vet it, I can okay it, and I can deliver it pretty quickly to make sure that it's going to work. You know, and ad-libbing is the key to spontaneity. And especially if you've got a child up and they say something funny and you've got a quick answer for it. There's nothing more rewarding for parents than to see their own children being the natural star of the show, or seemingly so.
Now, you're best known, I remember when you lectured at the Magic Circle, and the trick that everybody was talking about was, and I would say it's probably tell me if I'm right, your signature effect, and that's Ping Pong Poodle. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Ping Pong Poodle is wildly funny. It has all the elements that you need in a routine for children. But above all, this little routine that I have, which is, I think, about 5 minutes long, is pure entertainment. It's pure joy for the children. They literally cry with laughter. Basically, all it is, you hardly need any materials to do it. It is quite technical. There's a few things in there which you need to master, and the DVD I'm bringing the DVD out with the Ping Pong Poodle on it. But it'll create a round of applause. That's one of the main things that I like about it. There's a point in the middle of this routine where I literally just have to stop because I know there's going to be some clapping coming. So to generate a natural round of applause from children is absolutely quite a feat, I think. But it's a very, very visual thing, and it covers all those aspects we talked about. Utter despair, things going terribly wrong. Kids love it if you're trying to brush over something obvious that's happening, which is terribly amiss, and you're trying to learn to. And also, it's incredibly surprising. You know, I see people at the back of the room kind of doing this and laughing and looking at each other to look together because they can't believe what's going on. It takes you by surprise. So yes, Ping Pong Poodle is very right at the very top of my show. It's the first big disaster that Magic Mikey has in his magic show, and I wouldn't not do it for all the tea in China. Ping Pong Poodle is the one routine where if I had to put anything in my show, it would definitely be that.
And you're thinking of releasing it on commercially, either on DVD or as a download. What's made you have that decision?
Well, I see a lot of magic DVDs and videos. I study a lot of magic online. I've read a lot of books, and I've come to realise that this is, in my opinion, and it is my opinion, and I am biased, of course, but this is gold dust. This stuff. This Ping Pong Poodle is a genuinely funny routine, which I have decided to release as a download or a DVD. You know, I won't lie and say I'm not in it for the money, but I'm not that generous. But it is a genuine routine, which will genuinely be worth every penny that you pay for this, and you will honestly get an incredible amount of enjoyment out of it. But you can adapt it, you know, and you can work it to make it fit your routine. It has music in it, it's got magic in it, it's got a bit of balloon modelling in it. Visually, it's very funny. There's lots of surprises in there. Children that have seen me and know what's coming, you can see them looking forward to the next bit that's going to happen. And basically, do you want me to go into detail about what it is?
Yeah, please do.
We talk about it. I'm hiding the fact of what it is. Things it won't sound that exciting. Basically, it's a it starts off with a balloon, a modelling balloon, and I blow the balloon up. I mean, there's nothing new in all this, by the way. I haven't created any of this. Any of the effects that I do, I've just put them together and made it to the routine that it is. But you blow a balloon up, and the balloon exhales. So that gives you a great opportunity to sort of, oh my goodness, what's going on here? And then I've got this thing where it goes in a box, and then it comes out again, and then it pings on my nose, and that's very funny. Then I make it into like a poodle, and then the tail comes off, and the tail bounces and bounces back on. That's the first sort of bit of magic in it, and that's not right because I'm a perfectionist. So I take it off again, I bounce it, it goes back on. So you pull a tail off a balloon, you bounce it, and it goes back on the end of the tail. I mean, that's the sort of magic that children start to take for granted as the show goes on, which is lovely, you know. And then the ball comes off, it vanishes, and then it's in my mouth, and I'm pretending it's not, and it obviously is. Very funny. And then I'm trying to talk, and so I've got a whole patter routine. I've got things that I say which are very funny. And the way you can pull your face around is just outrageous. You can really make a normal face go into almost a cartoon character, you know. And as this is all happening, of course, it's all going wrong. It comes right at the end, but it's all going wrong. The frustration is going. The kids. It's my favourite routine. It's been the backbone of my whole show for years and years and years. And I've decided that, hey, it's time. It's time to regrettably release it into the ether so that other people can do it.
So you've been performing Ping Pong Poodle for how many years now?
Oh goodness, I would say it's more than 15 years and less than 20. I would say a long a long time. I've seen videos of me performing the ping pong poodle, and I actually look a lot younger, so that's pretty frightening, isn't it?
Now, you mentioned earlier about music within your magic show. Could you tell us a little bit about your ideas on that?
Music's very important. It's easy, you know. You're going to have some sort of sound system there, so it's easy to use music. And I've recently got a little clicker thing, so I can make the music come on and go off at the touch of a button, which is lovely because it really looks like it just comes on when you need it. If you do, I mean, I've got, goodness me, I have, I don't know, 4 or 5 routines in my show which I use music for. And in the rare occasion where I haven't been able to have music, where I have got no power or something like that, the whole thing is very flat. The music really lifts the routine up. And it's very important. You can use music in a lot of different ways. You can have music under the trick, or you can have music over the trick. Now, I don't know if that makes sense to you. Have music under or over the trick. If you have music under the trick, it means you can still talk to the children, and the music's kind of a background thing. But if you have music in front of the trick, it's the wall of music will hit you first as they visually watch your magic. You see, so for example, in the ping pong poodle, there's a section where I turn the balloon into a little poodle dog thing. And whilst I'm doing that, if I didn't have music, or I didn't action the children to return something back to me, it would actually be quite a boring part, you know. Right? But if you have music, boom, 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 you can almost sort of dance your poodle. You can make your poodle to the music. And what I do on top of all that is I say to the kids, right, look, I'm going to make something out of this balloon. If you can guess what it is, you can have it. Go! And I hit the button. Bam, 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 bam. So I'm making this thing. They're shouting correctly what it is. It's a dog. It's a dog. It's a dog. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's a dog. And then I stop music. Hang on. Who said mouse just then? And they all put their hands up. I say, no, not a mouse. Music comes back on. Dun, 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 dun. So I'm using music there to amplify and make the lift. So I've turned what would have been a very boring part, I think, of that thing into a very exciting, fast-moving part of the show. They're watching the balloon, they're trying to guess what it is, there's music playing, I'm keeping energy going, it's all about the energy, you know, and it comes to this conclusion, and I stop the music, and of course they'll all stop shouting because the music suddenly stops, which is great. I don't have to make them quieten down, and I say, no one guessed it, it's a dog. Which of course they're all going to go, I said dog, I said dog, and then that's funny for the adults, you see. So it's a routine which reaches out to the children. It's got body to it, and then it's got that little kicker at the end, which will make the parents laugh because I've blatantly ignored all the kids all the way through it, and then said exactly what it is they've been saying all along. Back to Oliver Hardy again. You see, there's a lot of psychology there. So yes, music's great. I use there's a moment I wanted a part of my show which wasn't loud and raucous and screaming and all the rest of it. So I use the music to Grand Designs to do my cards, and that's very quiet. The children mellow. I mean, where are cards coming from? This is amazing. And the music on this occasion is under the trick, so I can talk to the children. So I can say, look, there's a card there. Boom. And it goes in a hand. Oh, there's another one there. Boom. So the music is quite soft, it's quite gentle. And again, the parents see the magician, the entertainer, with utter control over his audience. So therefore, you get lots of comments like, hey, you really had those kids in the palm of your hands. I've never seen children sit there for an hour like that. It's incredible. You didn't lose any of them in the show. So that you get lots of praise, and it's down to the music. The music can control the children, and there's lots of jokes there as well. I say for this next trick, I need my magic hat and the theme tune from Grand Designs. Okay, and that gets a laugh as well. So there's loads. It is very scripted, but very carefully.
So what? It's nice. It's nice to see a routine that has taken 15 years to work out every single little angle and every single surprise that will pop up as a result of it. And you've taken on that feedback and adapted it. And has it changed a lot over the years?
What, the act or that particular routine?
The act in general, but also Ping Pong Poodle.
Yeah. There's an expression and there's a way of doing things at every second of your routine. There is no point in the show where the children aren't either enjoying something that's happening, or they are waiting for the build-up to happen. You know, there's something for the kids' minds to do 100% throughout the show, all the time. I tweak it all the time. If a child says something funny, then I will write it down. It's a golden bit of advice. Always take a notepad and a pencil, because you will forget. You'll be in the middle of your show, a child will say something, and you'll return it with a one-liner, and it's an absolute corker, but you will forget it. Little things like I say, okay, this little red ball is going to fly around the room. Okay, and if you can see it flying, you can have it. Okay, lots of promises in my show, lots of false hope. Yeah. So I said, there's a little ball here, it's going to fly around the room, so keep your eyes on it. Now I said, keep your eyes peeled, not literally, because that'd be hideous, like this. And that's a line from Alan Partridge. Not literally, because that'd be hideous. So I said it once, it just came out, and I noticed that a lot of the parents found that particularly funny. Kids won't find that funny, but the parents found that quite funny. I thought, right, that's in. That'll be in. It'll be in forevermore. You know, so there's hundreds of little lines, little gags, but all these little lines and all these little jokes in the whole of my act heavily depends on light and shade. By that, I mean, it's very important that the room is quite quiet if you're going to do a little quip, something that's supposed to be off the cuff, you know. Now, it's crucial to me, because I consider the show a show which is worthy of an adult audience. It's very important to have the parents be quiet in the magic show, which is a very, 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 it's the biggest problem ever. And one nasty example of this, I'm doing a show and there's a couple of mums that are chattering and they're talking, they're loud, and that's because they are being so loud. And all of a sudden, one of these mums, she gets up and she walks, sort of treads through the children, right up to me in the middle of the show, and she dumped on my table a paper plate. And by now, I'm in genuine stunned silence. Not only is this lady talk all the way through my performance, but she's actually now stood up and come up to me in the middle and put this plate on. So I picked it up, and she'd written on this paper plate, she'd written something, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something like, please could you be a bit quieter, I'm trying to have a chat with my friend. So something clearly needs to be done about parents that talk. It's not acceptable to chat away in a cinema, is it? You wouldn't tolerate that for 2 seconds. Anyone who's ever given a speech would understand just how very off-putting it is if someone's having an open conversation which has nothing to do with what you're talking about right in front of you. So, and you don't want to be rude to people either. You don't want to end up being the topic of the conversation after the show that, oh, he's obviously had enough, you know, he's a bit grumpy, doesn't like kids. So it's a whole, I won't go into how I will be in the one-day training course that I'm going to do in March.
Now you tell us a little bit about that course. I know you're planning like a complete course or a workshop for children's entertainers.
Yeah. It's something I'm very excited about, actually. I've bottled all these little gems for the last 20 odd years. It's tips on advertising. It's tips on just heightening your show. It's tips on performance. It's all the little one-liners. I'll dissect my entire show, and not necessarily for the trick content, but for the attitude towards the magic and why children will like that. Little tiny things which I've come to realise over the years. For example, if you go into a hall and the parents put chairs out around the edges of the hall, then the parents will come in, they'll sit on those chairs and they'll talk like in a waiting room, because they're not facing the show and they're sitting with their back to a wall, just like a dentist. You'll sit there chattering. But if you put the children, so you're here, the kids are there, and the parents are there watching, they'll watch it like a show. So what I want to do is put together a one-day training course. Now, this would be great for anybody who's thinking about becoming a children's entertainer. This would be brilliant actually for anyone who's in the business and has been so for, say, up to 5 or 6 years. They're underway, they're getting work from it, they're professional even. But you know, I could probably slice off good 10 years of shortcuts to advance them forward even more. Lots of advertising, you know, just general. I mean, my passion for being a children's entertainer is something I can give almost like a gift, and it would be worth the money. Plus, also there'll be a huge social element to it. What could be more fun than, I don't know, however many magicians all getting together for a day to talk about magic. We're going to do it hopefully in a theatre. So we've got a stage. I'm going to show you exactly the equipment that I use, how to cut down on the weight of the equipment, the clothes that I wear. What do you wear as a children's entertainer? Personally, I don't like the sort of multicoloured clothes. Nothing wrong with that. It's just not my character. So I'm going to talk about just about every aspect of the game as I can possibly think of, and hopefully people will go away with excited, because there's a lot in there.
So when are you planning on starting this?
Well, that's a tricky one, that, because it'll take a lot of planning, obviously. I'm underway with that. I'm hoping to base it somewhere around the Beaconsfield area, Amersham, Beaconsfield, so that's the M40. So I'm hoping people could come down possibly from sort of Birmingham or around there, down the motorway, around the 25 and to me, or from south up around the 25. So it's going to be there. It's going to be March. I think March is a good time. It'll be after Blackpool and before, you know. So I think March time will do that. Very much looking forward. Lots of coffee and biscuits.
Okay, well, as a Merchant of Magic, we'll be sure we'll publish some more information about that as it comes out, and we'll keep people updated on our Facebook page and through the through our newsletters. So you know, that's fantastic. Giving one sort of piece of advice for, you know, somebody that is already doing shows at the moment, a piece of advice about maybe audience management, controlling children. Have you got any tips on that you could share?
Well, yeah. I mean, the advertising is probably the best bit of advice I can give. Always give every child some sort of advertising. If you go to a party and there's 30 kids there, it's a crime to let them leave without any advertising, because they'll get in the car and they'll say to the mummy, they'll say, he was really funny, he did this, he did that, and she might say, what was his name? Oh, I don't know. And some of the parents, certainly some of the parents that I do parties for, they're too proud. They won't ask the booker, oh, who did you use? We're thinking of using him. It's not done. So give every child, every single child you ever do magic for, a card. Simple. You will increase your bookings tenfold. Do not put cards in party bags. They go in the party bag, they get in the back of the car, they're on the floor, because all the kids are interested in is the cake, because you're competing against a piece of cake and you're going to lose. So actually hand it to them. When they have a party bag to be had, they'll actually hand the card to their parents, and I see them all in the back pockets going out. Management for talking parents, that's a whole different kettle of fish. There's a million ways to do it, but what you mustn't do, you mustn't come over as being rude. You can't tell people to shut up. Also, there's no problem.
That lady that left a plate on your display on your table, what did you do? Did you just ignore that, or how did you react to it?
She was the one exception to the rule. I'm afraid to say I was incredibly rude to her. She really got under my skin, but I had much pleasure in the fact that I knew that she was sitting next to, unbeknown to her, she was sitting next to the father of the birthday child, who was actually videoing the show. Videoing the show is another thing I don't really allow nowadays, but at that point he was videoing the show. So I knew that when he played that video back, all he'll be able to hear is her talking, irritatingly talking, you know, and it can eat away at you. If you hear someone talking, you tune into it. So you tune out of your show and you tune into someone's conversation. So I've got a few lines that I say. I say, look, excuse me, it's not a coffee morning. What's going on? It's Magic Mikey here. I'm very expensive. What are you doing? Can't talk all the way through. I mumble to myself. Can't talk all the way through my show. Goodness me. And if they carry on, I might say something like, look, if you keep on talking, I'm afraid you're going to have to be in the show. You will be in the show. And that's quite a severe course of action if I have to threaten to get them up. Or if I have to, I will simply say, look, would you mind? I won't say it on a microphone across the children. I'll put some music on. I will go up to them and I'll say, look, would you mind? Could you, if you want to have a chat, maybe it might be better if you just go out there or in there. But the thing is, you can't tolerate it. You can't. The quieter the parents are, the more focus you're going to get from the children. For some reason, if children can hear mummy talking, looking around, and then they're going to miss the trick. But the single most piece of advice that I would give is simply in the form of a bowl of crisps. Now, if you start your magic show, the kids are all at the top of the show, they're all watching you, you start the magic, and if you spy a bowl of crisps, get rid of it. Very important. Because one child will be sitting there watching the magic, they'll see the crisps, they'll get up, and they'll come back with just one crisp. And then two children will sit, then four, then before you know it, everybody is up, because children work as a pack. They always, kids, who wants to go to the toilet? All of them will want to go to the toilet. Who'd like a drink? All of them will want to drink. One kid's got a crisp, they all want a crisp. So get rid of food. I won't have food in the show. It's got to be, I'm quite bossy actually, but people do like that because they know that I'm in control. And I've got a good reputation, so I can kind of be a little bit bossy. That's my advice. No crisps.
Excellent. Well, Mike, we're running out of time now, but thank you ever so much for coming on and sharing that with us. You know, I know you're super busy, so taking the time out from that, means a lot. What we'll make sure we do is we'll keep everyone updated about Ping Pong Poodle when it comes out, and also as well the course. And you said it's going to be about March time, so as soon as we get Christmas out of the way, we'll put something on the site as well so people know exactly where and when and how to sign up for it.
Sure.
So thanks, guys. Thanks for watching, and thanks ever so much to Mike. Cheers. Thanks, mate. I caught you having a coffee.
Bottoms up.
Yeah, guys, if you've got any problems or questions at all, drop us an email over at support@magicshop.co.uk. If you want to find out more about the training course for children's entertainers or more about Ping Pong Poodle and its release, then shoot us an email as well and we can keep you updated. And check out the blog, which is blog.magicshop.co.uk. Thanks for watching.